Welcome back. Today we're going to replace both the intake and exhaust solenoids on the 2009 Chevrolet Malibu. They're great cars. As with anything mechanical, stuff does wear out. We're getting a check engine light, a P0013, which is common with these parts, the solenoids, both intake and exhaust. You may also get a P0014, P0011, and P0012. They all relate to both the intake and exhaust solenoids. So first we're going to start off, we're going to show you what tools we're going to be using. You're going to need some type of channel locks, a 3/8 ratchet, an extension, and both an 8mm, 10mm sockets. And also we're going to use connector grease for the electrical connectors that go on top of the solenoids. Okay, first thing we're going to do, we're going to disconnect the negative battery terminal. We want to make sure this is off. We want to cut the power from the car. Ensure safety first, and always wear safety glasses. So just to avoid any connections, I always wrap the terminal in some type of rag. This way I know it's protected. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do now, this is the engine cover. I'm going to remove the oil cap. Take that, just set that aside. And then this air intake hose here, you're going to remove that, and you're going to remove this bypass hose right here. And to do that, you're going to use your 8mm and 10mm sockets and the channel locks. So we're going to start with the 8mm socket. And you just want to loosen that. Once that is off, we can detach the hose. And then we're going to take our channel locks and this bypass hose here. We're just going to squeeze that, move that down, and we'll slide that hose off just like that. Okay, then we're going to carefully remove the cover. Now we're going to set that aside. And right here you can see these are the intake and exhaust solenoids. You can see it's marked on the valve cover. Intake is on this side and exhaust is on that side. So we know exactly which one we're replacing. Okay, so first we're going to, before we move on, I just want you to remind you to put the oil cap back on in case to prevent anything from falling into the motor. So we keep that safe. So next we're going to remove the electrical connectors. You just want to carefully squeeze in here and slide that off like that. And you want to do the same thing here. Squeeze that off. That should slide right off. Now down in here, you can get a close look, and there you'll see two bolts. You can see if I can shed some light. These two bolts, one in here and one in there. They're both 10mm, and we're going to remove them. Going to remove that. And you just want to move slowly. It's an aluminum block. You just want to be careful. You don't want to cross thread anything. Okay, once that's loose, we'll loosen the other one. Okay, once they're loose, we're going to have to apply some pressure. And we want to just wiggle that on up. Very carefully. Slide that on up. And that's your old one there. You can see some oil's dripping out, which isn't a problem. So we're going to set that aside. And now we're going to wiggle the other one up. There it comes. And that's the other one. Now you can tell that we have some oil residual down there, which isn't a problem. We're just going to clean that up. You can kind of see where everything's going now, and a few drops of oil isn't going to hurt anything. We just want to make sure it's clean before we put the new ones in. Okay. Kind of see what we're working with. So again, this is the intake and this is the exhaust right there. So we're going to get our new parts. These are genuine GM parts. This is the part number, in case you're wondering what that is. There. This is the intake one. That's the part number for the intake. Can I read it?
It's GM number 12679099. And this is the...
That's exhaust.
Exhaust. The exhaust is GM 126791. I'm sorry, 12679100.
Okay. So the first one we're going to put in is going to be for the intake. The installation is going to be the reverse of the removal. First we're just going to put some engine oil. Just want to get some oil around here so it slides in. Just want a good connection with that. Then we're going to install this now. Let's see if I can get some light. So again, this one was the intake, and you'll see the indications on the valve cover, exactly where it goes. So you just want to slide that in there and match that up with the bolt hole. Once you have that, we're going to hand tighten that screw. Okay, only hand tighten. We don't want to over tighten just yet. Let's work it. And we're going to do the same thing with the exhaust solenoid. Just want to grab some engine oil with this as well. Just to get that a little slippery. It'll slide in easily. Just a little bit, you don't want to overdo it, because as soon as that car starts up, it's going to lubricate everything. Okay, we're going to do the same thing. Just want to make sure that slide that in carefully, and we'll line up the bolt hole. And once again, we're only going to hand tighten these for now. I'm going to make sure they seat properly. I'm not getting any resistance on these bolts, so that's a good sign. Everything's in there the way it should be. And then we're just going to tighten things up. Now again, this is aluminum, an aluminum head and the valve cover. You don't want to over tighten. You want to cross thread or snap the bolt. You just want to make sure it's snug. So those are tight in there. Next we're going to use connector grease, and we're just going to put some on the electrical connector. Just so we know we have a good connection. Again, all you need is a little. You just want to be generous with it. I need to overdo it. Okay, and then we're going to connect everything. Everything's tight. That's good. Now once they're in, we can put our cover back on. First we're going to take off the oil cap. Now when you install this cover, there are two poles, and you just want to line up the cover with the back of the cover with the poles. Also, just to ensure a good connection with the throttle body, alright, we'll just loosen this a little bit. This is just another hose clamp, but we just want to make sure this fits snugly over the throttle body. We can always tighten that up. Okay, so now we're going to line this up. Put an oil pack on. And we attach our air hose, our bypass hose, we're going to squeeze this clamp. Make sure that a tight fit, which it is. That's good. And make sure that's tight. Now we'll tighten our hose clamp to the intake hose. got my little socket on here. It's going to be more than, that's going to be the 8mm. Once again, once that's snug, that's fine. You don't want to over tighten that. Always double check what you did. We'll tighten up the throttle body clamp, so we still have to do that. Oil cap is replaced. The electrical connectors are in. The air intake hose is in, and the other hose clamp is on. So we're good. We'll start it up, and then we should be fine. So thank you for watching, and any questions, send me a comment.